Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking an early look into Deadside's next update, 0.3.0. We are going to take a look into all of the new features, talk about how and why they were implemented, and also cover different changes that have come in this update as well. I also have some things that I can show you though, that will even be in the next update, in 0.3.1, if that's what it ends up being called. I'm not sure yet. But you guys will actually finally be able to see the stuff that I've been working on for the past few months, so I'm really excited to be able to talk about that today. Also, this video is sponsored by Bad Pixel and Tiny Build and myself by extension, I guess. Thanks to them, as always. I will also be having a giveaway again here soon. I'll be giving away a few Deadside Steam keys, so if you want the information for that, stay tuned to the end. And last thing, before the video actually starts, I'd like to welcome you all to Loaf's Survival Bunker. This is a custom-made set that I'll be using as background footage in future videos and this video. This is not an in-game location. I made this, so don't get too confused. This is just purely for these videos. Alright, let's start going through the features of this update. First up, we have new particle effects when you shoot and hit a target. The effect played will be different depending on the type of object that you hit. For example, shooting into the ground where there's just dirt will kick up a bunch of dirt, but shooting into the ground where there's dirt and grass will result in grass being in that particle effect. It's much more detailed now. The particle effects across the board are much larger too, and more detailed. This should make it much easier to tell where and what you're actually hitting during combat. I also just think these effects look more realistic, which is of course good. It's actually extremely difficult to make very realistic particle effects for when you shoot and hit the ground, because a lot of dust gets kicked up and shoots in the air and kind of sits there and slowly drifts off in the wind. That's a lot of effort. This looks pretty good. It is a smaller change compared to other things in this update, but it's still a very good one. For our next feature, we have the Workbench. There's a lot to talk about here, so prepare yourself. We're about to dive in. Let's cover just the basic stuff first. The Workbench is a new item that you can craft and place inside your base. Once it's down, currently the only thing you can do with it is apply skins to armor and other clothing items. You will do this by simply walking up to the Workbench and opening it. You will see this new UI and a really nice camera angle. When you select the item to modify, it actually places that item down on the workbench in front of you, and you can see the skin get applied to the item in real time, which is really nice. So a question I'm sure you all have is how you actually get skins. Well, at the moment, there isn't an in-game method for getting new skins, at least not yet. This is because the skins are actually stored in your Steam inventory, not on your in-game character. So as you can imagine, bridging the gap between in-game items and getting that same item in your Steam inventory is a complicated process. There's also a balancing issue because some community servers have boosted loot where you can spawn in items through the admin menu, and it would be super easy to just go and farm skins there compared to normal servers. So that's kind of why there isn't a way to get skins in-game just yet. The development team can only work on so many things at once, and just getting the Workbench working with Steam inventory in the first place wasn't easy. To give you an idea, skins in the Steam inventory was something that was originally teased over a year ago. So considering all that, it kind of makes sense that there isn't a way to get skins in-game just yet. I'm assuming there will be a way to do that at some point though. But for now, you'll just have a couple skins through your Steam inventory, which is fine. Some of you might be thinking at this point then, why did the team even choose to use Steam inventory in the first place if it's so complicated like I'm talking about, right? Well, Steam inventory provides a ton of really cool features. For example, Steam inventory allows the trading of items to other players. You can also sell skins on the community Steam market. But the coolest part about all this is that it opens up the possibility of custom community-made skins. And these skins, the community-made ones, would be the skins that are marketable and tradable. Now, let me be very clear here. Custom skins are very far off into the future, okay? But the dev team has shown interest in it before. I've actually talked about it in depth with Alex, the CEO of Tiny Build, and while that conversation was a long time ago, he definitely showed some interest in the idea, as well as other people on the team have too. So I'm pretty sure it'll happen at some point, just, a long way in the future. For now though, players that have the supporter pack will get the Vortex skin set automatically, and there's going to be 2 extra skin sets that you can purchase to put on your in-game items. These new skins that you can purchase are totally new, and I think they look pretty good. There's one set I like in particular that you will definitely see me using. And before anybody complains that they're just selling skins instead of finishing the game, which I'm sure I'm gonna get a few comments like that. Before you type those comments, let me tell you this. These skins were made by just one of the art guys. And if you know how game development works, major features like vehicles and all that stuff, that's made by the programmers. Those are different people. The art guys just make the models, maps, animations, and of course, skins. So no, they aren't selling skins instead of finishing the game. This is just something one of the art guys can do on the side to generate a little bit of revenue. And hey, the skins actually look pretty good, so if you want to support the game, why not pick them up? But hold on, we aren't done with the Workbench yet. Oh, you just thought it was for skins? No. Skins, like I said, are just a side project for the art guys, okay? What the Workbench is actually for is durability of items and repairing them. But this feature isn't ready just yet. It's still being worked on and won't be in 0.3.0, but that's for good reason. Durability of items, and specifically weapons, is a major feature that needs to be done correctly, and shouldn't be rushed out in just a month. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how this system will work, especially since it's still being worked on right now and changing all the time, but I think it's worth mentioning, and it's a huge part of why the Workbench even exists in the first place. I could make a whole separate video on durability, so I'm not going to talk about it that much here since we still have a lot more to cover today. But most of my regular viewers know that I've talked about gear sinks and balance before, and weapon and item durability would be a very effective method of achieving those things. And yes, weapon durability is annoying. That's the point. But I think it's more annoying to be killed by the same 50 cal all week as it passes between hands of different players over and over again because that item will never despawn. Alright. Enough of that tiny little rant, let's move on from the Workbench. If you have any more questions about it though, feel free to leave it in the comments and I will respond within reason. Next we have the most major change of this update, and that's base building. Instead of the old list in the crafting menu, base items are now placed through a radial menu that comes up whenever you hit B, for build I guess. This is pretty similar to other survival games that I'm sure you're all familiar with. The cool part about this is that you don't actually need the items required to construct the item. All you need is a hammer and axe, and you can place down this green foundation of the item. For example, let's say I want to place down a foundation. You hold B, find the foundation in the radial menu, then you place down this green outline. After you place down the outline, all you need to do is put the materials into the outline, and then it crafts itself once all the materials are put inside of it. This should seriously streamline the process of base building. You can now outline 3 items at once. You don't have to sort through this long list to find the specific base object that you want to craft. And because you actually place down the items without the required materials, this makes cooperative building much easier. One person can place down the object and other players can fill in the materials, or maybe both players can fill in the materials at once as they collect it. It can work like that, which is nice. The actual crafting recipes have been changed as well. I believe they've been simplified overall, so base building is just going to be less tedious. I'll have a guide out on base building at some point, and in that video I'll talk about the new material requirements for each structure, but for now we'll leave it at that. Right, well, that's about it for new things in this update. While this one might not immediately change the gameplay experience all that much, this is still a major update in terms of overall structure. The features introduced here are stepping stones to bigger mechanics like weapon durability, new base building features, custom skins, all that stuff. And those things wouldn't be possible unless the time is spent making the structure for those things first, which is what this update is. That's not to say the things in this update aren't impactful, they very much are. It's nice to have some new skin options, the new base building is very good, and I'm sure the particle effect will be appreciated. Now for the last section of this video, let's talk about some of the other things that are happening behind the scenes. The team has been growing as always, more people are being brought into the project and getting used to everything. There are also many features getting slowly worked on in the background. As I mentioned earlier, weapon durability is being worked on and progress is being made there. Vehicles are of course being developed and tested, and I can't say when they'll be done, but I've been watching them develop it and they're making good progress on them. As I'm sure most of you already know, they want to do vehicles in the correct way, to avoid many of the problems that vehicles have in many of Deadside's contemporary titles. I'm not going to name names, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So it's simply done when it's done. There are also a few features that are very close to completion. I can't talk about all of them yet, but I can talk about the feature that I've been working on for the last 3 months, and that is weapon recoil. Now, I'm going to save a lot of the finer details here for a standalone video on the new recoil patterns when it's closer to release and more finished, but in the meantime, I'll explain what I've been doing. So, Deadside's recoil right now it's not all that great. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but it has a few inherent problems with how it works. Basically, how recoil functions right now in the live client is that there's an invisible box around your reticle or sight. When you shoot, the game chooses a random point inside of that box to move the gun or camera to. You can change that box to be whatever dimensions or size you want, but it'll always just be a box. The bigger you make that box, the more random the recoil becomes. So this is why most guns in Deadside basically have no recoil at all, because if you make the box too big, it just simply becomes too random. This also means that an experienced player doesn't really have that much of an advantage over new ones in terms of spray control, or at least not as much of an advantage that they would have in other games that have more developed recoil than Deadside. So, the development team made a new system. This system allows me, the person who actually designs the recoil patterns, to control each and every bullet, how much it moves the gun, and where. If I really wanted to, I could make a gun draw a smiley face, and I'll have footage of that here, I guess. So as you can see, I have a lot more control over the recoil now. It is no longer just one box. I can tell each bullet exactly where to go. So, because of that, spray control is going to be a lot harder now. The longer you hold down the trigger, the harder the recoil is going to be to control. The recoil is going to get slowly higher as you keep shooting. This also means, because I have so much control, that every weapon now has a totally unique spray pattern, instead of how it is now where it's more or less random. I'm really excited for you guys to be able to try it out. I'm very confident you'll see this recoil in the next update, probably next month or so. There's no solid date, don't even ask. But when that update is closer to being finished, I'll make a whole separate video going into detail about how the new recoil actually kind of works, show you some individual weapons, talk about the process of all the testing we've done and deciding where the recoil should be and why and stuff like that. But I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or comment, it does help a lot. Anyway, I'll be doing a giveaway on my stream and my Discord when 0.3.0 goes live. I'm giving away 5 keys to Deadside on my stream and 5 in the Discord. I'll have links in the description for both of those things. Make sure to join the Discord though, so you can actually be updated on when the giveaway is going to happen, because right now it's going to happen when the update releases, and the update release date isn't public yet, right? So you got to join the Discord to know when it happens. I'm also going to be making more guides again soon. Finally, I'm going to be making an advanced base building and raiding guide, as I mentioned, and hopefully, if everything works out, another episode of the weapons and armor guide, which will be interesting. That is, if I can. We'll see. So, be sure to be subscribed to the channel so you can see all those things when they come out. That's all I have for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See ya.